Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission this time is to delve into one of the observation records of Tommy Yoshida. Now, right off the bat, I need to make something clear. This explainer is not about evaluating AI. It's not a tutorial on how to use it, and honestly, we aren't going to arrive at a neat, perfectly tied-up conclusion today. Here, incomplete thoughts, pending questions, and ideas that just don't need to be closed are left exactly as they are, operating on the premise that we're still very much in a transition period. You might notice some parts of this exploration feel a bit unnatural or maybe slightly out of place. And you know what? That awkwardness is left intentionally uncorrected. It's all part of observing how language, technology, and human judgment interact right in the middle of a massive change.
So that opening thought really sets the stage for us. It's a very specific, almost philosophical vibe for our time together today. Yoshida isn't trying to sell us a finished product here, right? There's no perfectly wrapped solution at the end of this. Instead, he's inviting us into the margins, those messy, unresolved spaces of contemplation. We're just here to observe, to really look closely at the fascinating and frankly, sometimes incredibly chaotic intersection of language, evolving technology, and where human judgment actually belongs in all of this.
Okay, so here is the crucial pivot we're living through right this very second. For years, our relationship with AI has been super cozy. It's lived safely inside a box, our screens. Screen AI is great, right? It writes for us, it summarizes long articles, it searches the web, and crucially, it's editable. If it hallucinates or completely messes up a prompt, what do? You just hit backspace. No harm, no foul. But we're leaving that era. We are entering the age of physical AI. AI is quite literally stepping out of the screen and into factories, robotics, vehicles, logistics, the real world.
Which brings us to a massive, just fundamental shift, and a really critical question we have to ask ourselves. What happens when an AI's assumption becomes a physical movement? Think about it. When an AI misinterprets your prompt on a screen, you get a weird image with 7 fingers, or a clunky sentence. But when an AI misinterprets a command on a factory floor, that interpretation doesn't stay as text. It instantly becomes physical control, an immediate action. Suddenly, the weight of an AI just guessing what you meant becomes something that has very real, very physical world consequences.
And this is where language becomes the ultimate wild card. Yoshida brings up this absolutely fascinating comparison between English and Japanese communication. In English, structural clarity is pretty much baked right into the sentence. Who is doing what to whom? It's all clearly visible through subjects, objects, and word order. But Japanese? Japanese communication is incredibly context-dependent. Subjects are routinely just dropped. The entire condition of a sentence might flip at the very last syllable. It relies heavily on reading the room, a concept known as kuki. As humans, we just naturally fill in the blanks using our shared atmosphere and relationships.
But here is the absolute catch, and Yoshida hits the nail on the head here. AI does not understand atmosphere like we do. It just doesn't. Imagine 2 mechanics working side by side on an engine. One says, hey, stop that, or go back to the previous one. Between 2 humans, that completely works. The timing, the shared gaze, the physical atmosphere, they fill in all the missing gaps. But how does an AI system, which has zero human intuition or environmental awareness, handle those deeply ambiguous voice commands without making a potentially catastrophic error?
Well, if we look at current large language models, we know what they're designed to do. They are basically prediction engines. They guess the highest probability meaning. They look at their training data and make a statistical assumption to plug those contextual holes. Now, if you're writing a marketing email, that feature is magic. It keeps the workflow smooth. But take that exact same guessing engine and hook it up to heavy physical machinery or a robotic arm. That incredible convenience suddenly becomes a terrifying safety hazard. It is literally estimating a physical action based on ambiguity.
So this totally flips the script on what the tech industry is focused on. Everyone is obsessed with making AI faster, smoother, more responsive, but Yoshida asks a much better question. How should AI stop when it doesn't know the answer? Instead of desperately trying to make AI smarter at guessing our vague instructions, how do we design it to gracefully hit the brakes? How do we teach a machine to recognize its own uncertainty and safely halt before doing something in the physical world?
To solve this, Yoshida proposes something he calls the 0.5 step. It's this brilliant little confirmation layer inserted specifically before an ambiguous voice command ever reaches the LLM. And I want to be really clear here. This is not some clunky technological roadblock meant to slow progress down. Not at all. Think of it as an intentional pause, a deep breath. It is a protective margin designed specifically to safeguard human intention.
So instead of the AI just wildly guessing, the process is intentionally interrupted. The flow goes like this. Voice input comes in. If it's ambiguous, like it's missing a subject or it's just unclear, the system detects that. Then, it actually pauses and asks the human to clarify. Only after the human explicitly confirms what they meant is the command passed to the LLM. The genius of this workflow is exactly where that check happens. It places the human firmly in the driver's seat before the AI ever begins its active inference.
Now let's bring this back to that language comparison from earlier, because Yoshida makes a super profound linguistic distinction here. In English-speaking environments, where sentences are inherently more structured, this point 5 step mostly acts as a safety check, a fail-safe to make sure we're on the same page. But in Japanese, where context is literally everything, this step fundamentally changes. It becomes a layer of meaning determination itself. Because so much is left unspoken in Japanese, the actual meaning of the command isn't forged until the human and the AI clarify that missing context together.
And all of this shines a huge spotlight on the problem with our current obsession with smooth AI. The models we have today are optimized to never, ever stop. They desperately want to be conversational. They actively infer, they fill in the blanks. And frankly, they kind of pretend they understand even when they are totally lost just to keep the chat going. Yoshida suggests this very design philosophy, this relentless push for seamless, uninterrupted AI, is on a direct collision course with physical safety.
Ultimately, this whole concept of the point 5 step is about one vital thing: returning the right to finalize meaning back to the human. It connects so beautifully to the Japanese concept of yohaku, the intentional empty space, the margins that give a piece of art its balance and beauty. The point 5 step is designed to protect that margin in our technology. It guarantees there's a dedicated space where human judgment is explicitly required, so the AI can never snatch away our right to determine what our own words actually mean.
Yoshida really brings it all home when he asks, when the human intention is still unclear, should the AI infer or should it return the question to the human? Notice how he phrases that. He doesn't treat this like a software bug we need to patch in the next update. He treats it as an open, unresolved contemplation. It is a fundamental design question about what we actually want the relationship between humans and machines to look like.
And so, we arrive at the end of our exploration today with a question. And true to the spirit of our fixed opening, we intentionally aren't going to answer it. We want to honor the importance of incomplete thoughts. As AI breaks out of our screens and starts physically moving the world around us, how do we design the spaces where humans still decide? It's a lingering thought that challenges us to consider not just what AI is capable of doing, but where we absolutely demand that it stops. Something to think about.